Greetings, I am Liz.
And I am Scandal.
And let's play a game together.
Yes.
Let's share a poem together. You know what I'm waiting
Monika.
for? I'm kind of waiting for someone to come in the comments, like once the series has been sitting around long enough that it actually picks up some, attention. Not that we don't love our normal viewers, but sometimes we get comments like out of the blue from people that are nowhere near our channel, and it's kind of fun.
Right.
I was just say that will just like leave a comment in poetry.
We are still waiting on that.
That would be adorable. And honestly, if any of you want to volunteer, we will be just as charmed if we know exactly who you are.
Yes, it's fine. Okay, so Monika, here we go.
Hi, Splat. Have you thought about what you want to submit to perform at the festival? And by that I mean, I know I said we should just read our poems, but I'm going to totally derail you.
God damn it. Well, being in this club is one thing, but performing in front of a bunch of people, I'll have to give it some more thought, which is to say, none at all.
Okay, I know I just pressured everyone to perform and did pressure the whole club, but no pressure, all right?
Thanks.
But whatever you do, I'm sure it'll turn out real great. It would also make me happy to see. I would love to watch you perform. I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, let's take a look at today's poem.
Sure.
All those things.
Awesome. Hey, let's Monika take the poem I'm holding in my hands.
Great job, Splat. I was going ooh in my head while reading it. Like I had a lot more feelings. It's really metaphorical, because those words you couldn't use directly in any possible way. And what we've said is that Yuri loves metaphors. I mean, I'm not sure why, but I didn't expect you to go for something so deep. I really do assume that the first way that I meet someone and the first thing I see them display is just all of who they are.
Well, you see, I have this book on, like, my parents' shelves, and it's called War and Peace, and I picked, like, every other word.
That is an artistic process. I guess I underestimated you by just estimating you with one sample as representative.
It's easiest for me to keep everyone's expectations low.
Yes!
Perfect.
That is exactly like this character.
That way, it always counts when I put in some effort.
Oh my god, this is amazing.
You're really kind of a dick character, and that's okay. Like, you're funny, and you're a dick. Yes, you're still a dick.
Okay, so at one point, I knew a gentleman who, he really was just like that. He really was just this experience of going, he's like, okay, so I hated school and I played the system a lot. He said, but at one point I was in a typing class in high school, and, I started typing, and then, they explained how the class works. And then I immediately changed my typing to chicken pecking, because I'd been typing for quite some time and used computers a lot. But I was told that the grade depends on how much you improve over the course of the class. So I turned it into, I will type incredibly slowly, one finger at a time, so that he could then show marked improvements and get an A really easily.
Oh, God. That sounds honestly about right, because sometimes there is actually a level of frustration of going, I'm already capable and potentially really good at this skill, and now you're asking me to improve better when the class itself is potentially even just like an entry class or whatever it is, and so then you end up losing out more because you didn't improve any.
Yep,
and I've actually had people do that to me at jobs where they're like, it was just I expected that, you would get better, and I'm like, but you're not telling me how or why and what way or whatever else, and also going, as far as I can tell, this is as good as I'm gonna get if you're just gonna be super generic at me going, well, I was just expecting you to get better.
What I have also seen, and this is from also being in leadership and management historically, and definitely in reference to working with my friend and other very skilled people who work hard at their jobs, which that is my opinion of my friend when working with them, is an experience where if they come in full bore real quickly and just like, I pick up things quickly and I work hard immediately and I stay engaged and I keep moving and I continue to ask questions and then learn from the answers and that kind of thing, then there's not really a lot of room for improvement from your average employee. And I have watched it where someone who comes in who's not very engaged, doesn't do very much, doesn't seem to care very much, and takes a lot of coaxing and effort and work to get them to engage more, gets many more awards for progress than those who were all in when they started, because there's supposed to be incentives incentive to continue getting better. But if you're already stellar, they have no system to reward that in most jobs.
Except that also whenever I ran into stuff like that too, so this is also a critique that I've had in relation to like the advancement basically in work environments where they'll go, we're going to reward you by paying you more, right? Here's your pay raises. And I cannot tell you how so many of them are like, yeah, the actual perfect pay raise is just there for people to have goals.
It's a
not,
carrot.
It's a carrot on a stick. And it's complete fucking bullshit, and it has made me angry for years once I actually figured that out and actually had somebody kind of break it down going, it's just there as an incentive. It's not actually possible because you can always find something to improve on because nobody's perfect. And I went, fuck you. So,
Right.
like, that's pretty goddamn manipulative, actually.
I've been
Especially
exposed to
because-
that as well, and part of the reason I got out of management is because I found it to, in the place that I did it the most, I found it to lack integrity.
Yes.
And it frustrated me because there's a lot of ideals that they purport that then they don't demonstrate behind office doors, and that I was expected to sort of go along with. And it wasn't like people were straight out lying. It wasn't like movie levels of like ridiculousness, but it was that basically the sort of stuff we're describing, which created an unfair system.
There's also that thing in regards to itself, especially like with manufacturing, based off of what I've seen, there's a lot of basically a dude's club kind of thing. Yeah. And you start running into that in a lot of scenarios, actually, where there's kind of this thing of going, you need to be in the in crowd, and if you're not, people shit on you. Anyway, so
that's not very fair. Well, I guess it worked anyway. You know that Yuri likes this kind of writing, right? Okay, so you have to get a pretty solid amount of someone else for them to say anybody but Sayori, because we didn't get dominant Sayori, I don't think. Like, so we were pretty divided before. Like, did we get far and away the most Sayori?
I think we got the most Sayori for the poem prior to this. I think.
But we got some multiple bounces. I don't know. I have to go back and look at it.
We boinged around for the other one or two or whatever it was.
Writing that's full of imagery and symbolism. Unlike Sayori, who likes using simple and direct words. What about Natsuki, who likes that too? To describe happiness and sadness. Yuri likes it when readers are left to derive their own meaning out of it. You could literally just write gibberish, and she would love it, as long as it has big, thoughtful words in it. She loves vocabulary.
I have sometimes run into some people where you swear to God that is truly how they go. They like how they operate, and that has actually been someone to be like, yes, this sounds big and important, and I love it. And you're like, it is literally... It's a gaseous experience, okay? It is hot air.
It's nebulous. There's nothing there.
Yes.
There's no framework. It's just words. Anyway, it's very challenging to write like that effectively. And by that, I'm saying you haven't been very effective at it. Both allowing people to get something out of it just by feel, or letting them deeply analyze all of the nuances. It can take years of practice, which I'm assuming Yuri has at this point. I never really asked, though. I assume a lot of things about a lot of people immediately. Did I tell you that I tend to define their entire character off my first impression? I might have mentioned it. I never really asked her, though.
Oh, great. Sure, I'm nowhere near her level yet. Like,
but I
really fucking care.
But I was saying ooh in my head. I was. Don't worry so much about that. You do your own thing. Just keep exploring and learn by trying new things.
Great.
Anyway, I'll share my poem with you now. All right? Right. I forgot.
Right.
Splat going, I forgot I had to read yours too.
Oh, God, I was so excited that maybe I could just get away being like, here is a poem I have done. It is in the middle of the table. Feast, you creatures of the night.
Yes!
The lady who knows everything. An old tale tells of a lady who wanders earth. The lady who knows everything. A beautiful lady who has found every answer, all meaning, all purpose, and all that was ever sought. And here I am, a feather. Excuse me while I go down. Here I am, a feather. Lost adrift the sky.
Victim.
Lost adrift the sky.
Yep, adrift the sky. Not in the sky.
A victim of the currents of the wind.
However, lost adrift the sky can be a stylized way to say things.
It's true. Lost adrift the sky.
Yep, it works fine.
No. But the thing is usually I'd imagine like a comma maybe there.
There's
Lost
a comma.
adrift. in between lost adrift, comma, the
The
sky.
sky? It depends on how you say it. So it really can be lost adrift the sky. What are they? Lost adrift the sea.
Yeah. I know.
Like, it's a thing I've heard.
Day after day I search. Whoops, taking
then we
myself
lose.
back up. I search with little hope, knowing legends don't exist. But when all else has failed me, when all others have turned away, the legend is all that remains, the last dim star glimmering in the twilit sky. Twilight sky, the toilet sky. Until one day the wind ceases to blow. I fall, and I fall, and fall, and fall even more. Gentle as a feather, a dry quill that looks like an upside-down female symbol.
Yeah.
Expressionless.
I say that the crossed Q is interesting.
All right, but a hand clutches me between the thumb and forefinger, the hand of a beautiful lady. I look at her eyes and find no end to her gaze. The lady who knows everything knows what I am thinking. Before I speak, she responds in a hollow voice. I have found every answer, all of which amount to nothing. There is no meaning, there is no purpose, and we seek only the impossible. I am not your legend. Your legend does not exist. And with a breath, she blows me back afloat, and I pick up a gust of wind.
Well, that's not bleak or anything like that. However, at the beginning of the poem, and I'm just going to scroll back here real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
I was getting this impression of, there's this lady that knows everything, it's amazing, and I am just a feather adrift in the sky. Reminds me so much of the comments that I see on YouTube in young creators under their videos and stuff, especially like creators like Billie Eilish and stuff going, her at 16 is a multimillionaire, platinum artist. Me is trying to figure out when the light closes when I'm closing the fridge. That kind of thing. Like, and it felt very much like that. And then, this is a pretty dark poem, again, by my estimation. There is a level of going, yep, there's nothing to figure out, there is no answer, but also, like, it doesn't have that sort of embrace of nihilism of going, it's kind of freeing that there is no answer. It's going, it means that everything is basically terrible, that there is no answer, because there should be an answer.
Right.
And one of the things I would say philosophically is I find it incredibly relieving, the idea that there is no one answer, because being raised Christian, and there was this great basically push for there is one universal truth to all things, and to each and everything you encounter there are universal truths either to be applied or to be found, and all of reality works that way. And if you haven't found the truth, or if the truth doesn't work for you, then you just aren't understanding it right, or not doing it right.
You need to turn around and pray again and go ask for forgiveness.
Way less shame, way less guilt, way less confusion for me in knowing that there is no single one answer, that there are many separate answers, and that no answer is even required at all. There's just, you can give it one if you want to. Is there a meaning to life? The meaning could be a label that you like, such as to search for things, to have fun, to connect with people, to learn, whatever you think it is. Or it could be, why is that question even asked? I am living. I will go live. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you don't have to have labels.
Mm-hmm. I wonder also partly, and like my response actually to it was, the lady who knows everything. There is a lady and I am a feather, and going like for me I was kind of going, are we talking actually about you looking at yourself? Mm-hmm. Like me, I am at the whims of the world, and that I have run into myself that knows everything, and I can't get away from her. She already knows.
And basically, knowing everything doesn't do anything for you. Being a know-it-all, much like, let's just do it. Much like Sherlock Holmes, if you will.
Yes.
Often makes you ostracized.
Yes.
It often just makes people not like you. So I wasn't the biggest fan of the BBC series Sherlock, but I did like the pilot. I liked the pilot a lot. And one of my favorite moments in it was when he does his examination thing with Watson, and then Watson's like, that's amazing. And Holmes is like, really? Most people find it irritating. That is like the most self-aware thing for how real people respond to you tearing their life apart on average that I just have encountered. I thought it was cool. But yeah.
There's also the thing that's because I think based off of what I've seen, I think why that scene was also interesting is because Sherlock wasn't just trying to flatter or be like, here, I'm going to tell you what your strengths are. It was also, let me just sort of break down your life and where it falls apart and this thing and that thing.
Let me pull your pants down, basically.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And so for me, yeah, this feels like she has come to the conclusion that knowing everything, like she'd been given the illusion that at the beginning of the world, knowing everything was the way to go. You just have to learn and understand and comprehend everything. And it has left her hollow with no meaning, no purpose, no connection, alone.
Yeah. And that is what it means to know everything.
You know, I feel like learning and looking for answers are the sorts of things that give life meaning. At least they should, and I hope they will.
I was about to say, whoa, that seems in direct contrast to what you just wrote, so...
Not to get too philosophical or anything, but it was kind of on my mind, so that's what I wrote about. The idea. I think this is what gives life meaning. So if you did know everything, life would have no meaning anymore, because it is the pursuit of knowledge that is the meaning. I can see that. I can see that too. Where someone's like, the pursuit of knowledge is the meaning of life. You've been given all knowledge ever. There is now no meaning to life. That's one way to take it.
Yeah, that would be one way to take it. But then again, I feel like that'd get more into your boredom or mortals rant, so it's fine.
God, I'm so irritated with bored immortals. And honestly, even when I listen to other people's like opinions and ideas about breaking down immortals, like I'm just like, you have so many ideas about how this works, and I disagree with you really hard, okay?
I see. I never really put that much thought into it.
In a way, it's almost paradoxical. You may have just pointed that out.
Uh-huh.
Because if we had all the answers, wouldn't the world start to lose its meaning? We figured it out! Yes!
Yes, huh? You know, there's one thing I noticed.
Only one. I don't notice much when it's about other people.
Seems like everyone in the club prefers writing about things that are more about things that are sad than happy.
Yes!
Everybody really has a strong preference.
Are you surprised? It's really hard being a girl in the patriarchy. What else would we write about?
Ha
I can't even hold a straight face. I'm sorry.
You read them.
I mean, if everything was okay, we wouldn't really have anything to write about, would we? Without trauma and stress and depression and unhappiness and harrowing times, artists don't create, don't you know? That's what capitalism says.
Though I really do love the fact that, as we have pointed out with this pandemic, there are so many artists and so many creatives who have really just stopped being creative because so being inspired, and even if you do dark shit, right? When shit is actually really fucking hard like this and it weighs on you and it chips away at you all the time is very different.
So every artist and creator that I have known, which hasn't been all that many because I'm a ridiculous introvert, there has been an experience of them going, I didn't create because I was sad. I didn't create because I was hurting. I didn't get ideas because my life sucked. I created despite those things and used my creation to some degree to cope with them. And most artists that I've known, create a lot more and a lot more happily and excitedly, even if they're creating really dark things, when they don't have a lot of dark shit going on in their life.
Yep.
So this idea that, hardship creates better art
is ridiculous.
Again, it's a capitalistic idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we need hardship to have true high art.
There's also that thing, though, too, that some people have really pointed out, and that I appreciate, actually, with this game, where they're kind of going, like, that just because somebody looks all cute and fluffy and happy doesn't actually mean that they are. Like, that...
Like I said, living in the patriarchy.
Not being reduced down to a specific trope, you mean?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Humans aren't two-dimensional creatures.
You're correct.
I think you'd know that better than anyone. Because, you guys are the only humans in the game. Ha, ha, ha.
You mean one-dimensional?
I love that she is a self-aware character. This charms me.
She really,
infinitely.
honestly is.
This is super great. We are two-dimensional, and, the real world out there is three-dimensional, and that's just really cute.
That's...
yeah, that... Anyway, there's Monica's writing tip of the day, which we're about to give. I love that she says, oh, here's. I thought she said there's. My bad.
No, I said here's.
Are you ever too shy to share your writing because you're afraid it's not that good? Me. It can be really disheartening to get a lukewarm response. Disheartening to something you put so much into, especially if you put it in for other people to respond to. Like if you put it in either performatively or really passionately, and it was meant as a social activity to engage with other people, not just for you. And it was also meant maybe to sustain you and protect you financially because, you were going to sell it and it would take care of your monetary needs. But if you find other people who enjoy writing, then sharing becomes a lot easier because they're more likely to enjoy yours. Because instead of just telling you that your writing is good or okay or bad, they'll want to focus more on everything that went into it, and the things you can work on. And by that I mean they'll tear you apart. But they'll build you up too. They'll tell you what you can do. It's much more encouraging that way, and it will make you want to continue improving. Because the important thing isn't to keep writing, it's to keep improving. I guess. It's almost like having your own little literature club, don't you think? So what she's saying is, if you're an author or an aspiring author, get a writing club or, a review and critique club that is going to give you constructive criticism and be really enthusiastic about whatever the hell you bring in front of them.
Yep. And that is actually one of those things that people, I feel like, need to realize is that telling somebody that their art is shit is not the same as giving them a critique. Mm-hmm. At all.
So,
yeah. Whoa. I have seen actually something recently that popped across my personal Twitter feed where I was genuinely surprised about where somebody was like, they showed off going like, this was super disheartening. And they had shown off their art in a Discord server, and they had been like, hey, can you guys give me feedback kind of thing. And the response was basically like, really horrible. Actually,
Whoa.
like, really, they're like, we are giving you critique. And it's like, but you're just telling me my art is shit. And it was really sad. And I'm like, ugh. That is not the same as, hi, I'm looking, because they were even like, look, I'm looking to get better. What can you tell me on things that I can improve on? And they were just like, you're like that fat kid at recess that can't even get, like a chin up or something. Like, it was really horrible. Ugh. And they were just like, this is one of my worst days. Like, I specifically knew my art necessarily wasn't all that good, but I just asked for help and I got completely shat on.
Ugh. And I have seen things like that occasionally, and one of my primary goals whenever I'm speaking to anybody in sort of a let's be more open-minded kind of way, but also like if I'm teaching, and in jobs I've done a lot of teaching because whenever I'm taught something, it's just one of my instincts is to help other people understand it because it makes the job easier. I
should also though mention too, there is a difference between somebody actually specifically wanting critique and then people going out of their way to going, I'm just giving you a critique, and you're going, I never fucking asked for this.
I would say there's a few things to know. Is if someone puts their work out there, they may not be looking for any kind of critique, criticism, or feedback. They might just be, like for me, with my own Tumblr blog for my art. The reason I started it was to have a record and catalog of what I did. It was sort of like a personal journal or diary, and I've used it a lot when my life has been really, really hard. And there's kind of records of when I'm not doing well, there's often like a 6-month span of not posting anything.
Right.
And when I'm doing better, there's often a lot more art posted. Now, it's not always the case, but I can look back and see those phases of my life and know exactly what was going on because of what I was drawing.
Right.
And so I put it up there for me. And it's been interesting that if people have engaged, but I've still never moved out of that space. And I know that, some people don't ask for critique, but if someone does ask for critique, they're not asking, do you think my art is good or bad? They're generally asking for something like why do you think it's good or bad? Sort of in the same way that someone can be like, oh my God, I love your t-shirt. And you can assume it's because your t-shirt is nerdy and has a fun, catchy phrase and, mixes fandoms.
Right.
Or you can ask why. And they can go, God, that color scheme is amazing and it fits you really well. And you can be like, that is not what I thought you were thinking at all, but that's a cool thing to know.
Right.
In the same way that someone can come in, and if they're giving a constructive critique about your art, you could be like, I know the anatomy's bad, I know the shading's not very good, I know whatever. And what they could come in and go is, hey, so I saw you were looking for critique because you asked. And what I was thinking was, your expression looks restrained. And you could go, what? They could be like, it looks like you're struggling with some other things because you're not fully exploring the concept you're after, and I would suggest trying to lean into that more, and then you can ask more questions.
Right, absolutely. Okay, well, we are out of time, but thank you very much, guys, though, for joining us. We do appreciate it. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and also share our videos if you're having a good time with us. Please also feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi or Patreon, and I have been Scandal.
And if you have a critique, be specific.
Yeah.
And I have been Lies.
And it was great playing with you.
Bye!